Teeth are small, but their absence has shaped entire lives. For most of human history, losing your teeth was not a minor inconvenience. It was a transformation. Your face changed, your voice changed, the way people looked at you changed. Without teeth, you sounded older than you were. You struggled to eat solid food. You avoided smiling. And slowly, you disappeared from public life. Today, dentures are hidden, clean, and forgettable. But for centuries, they were none of those things. They were visible, uncomfortable, and often terrifying. This is the long, unsettling history of false teeth. Long before dentists, clinics, or anesthesia, tooth loss was inevitable. Diet, poor hygiene, and disease meant that most people began losing teeth early in life. Pain was constant, infection was common. And extraction was brutal. When a tooth became unbearable, it was pulled. It's not repaired, not replaced. Simply removed. And once it was gone forever. For many, this marked the beginning of social decline. Speech became unclear. Eating became slow and embarrassing. Laughter was hidden behind hands. In a world where appearance signaled health, strength, and status, missing teeth were a public weakness. Yet even in the ancient world, humans refused to fully accept this fate. More than 2,000 years ago, in what is now Italy, the Etruscans attempted something remarkable. They created some of the earliest known dental prosthetics. These early dentures were not cosmetic experiments. They were functional tools. Gold wires were used to bind replacement teeth together. Those teeth were often human taken from others, sometimes from family members, sometimes from servants, sometimes from the dead. The result was crude but effective. A partial restoration of chewing, partial return of speech, and perhaps most importantly, a return of dignity. But these dentures were rare. Gold was expensive, craftsmanship was limited, and only the elite could afford such solutions. For most people, tooth loss remained permanent. In ancient societies, teeth quietly reflected class. The poor adapted, they softened food. They spoke less, they aged faster. The wealthy, by contrast, attempted concealment. Replacement teeth became symbols of survival and power, not beauty, privilege. But these early efforts were fragile. They shifted in the mouth. They caused pain. They often failed. And then, as empires fell, even this limited knowledge disappeared. With the collapse of the Roman world, medical understanding fractured. Dentistry, as a discipline, simply vanished. For centuries during the Middle Ages, there were no dental professionals, no standards, no treatments. Tooth pain was endured until it became unbearable. Then the tooth was pulled often by barber surgeons or anyone strong enough to do it. There was no anesthesia, no sterilization. An infection frequently followed. Survival was uncertain. By middle age, tooth loss was common. By old age, it was expected. Without replacement options, people adjusted their lives around absence. In medieval Europe, missing teeth shaped behavior. People covered their mouths when speaking. They avoided laughter. They grew beards or lowered their gaze. A visible smile could determine marriage prospects, employment, and social acceptance. Teeth were invisible only when present. When gone, they defined you, God. The wealthy searched for solutions, but even for them, options were limited. Animal bone was sometimes carved into shape. Ivory was experimented with. But fit was poor, and discomfort constant. Most people simply accepted loss as part of aging. Everything began to change in the early modern period. It's not because of compassion, but because of demand. As cities grew and social mobility increased, appearance gained new importance. Speech mattered, public presence mattered, and slowly a new idea emerged. Teeth could be replaced, not just repaired or hidden, but traded. By the early 18th century, Europe had developed something new, a market for human teeth. Poverty created supply. Vanity created demand. Young, healthy people often, desperate, sold their teeth for money. Orphans sold them for food. The poor sold them for survival. The extraction was immediate. The payment was small. The damage was permanent. One person lost a smile so another could keep one. This trade was legal, public, and disturbingly normalized. But living donors were not enough. As demand grew, suppliers looked elsewhere. They turned to the dead. Grave robbing became a profession. At night, fresh graves were opened. Teeth were removed quickly, before decay set in. Teeth, unlike flesh, endured. By morning, they were cleaned, sorted, and sold. Dentists mounted them into dentures made of ivory or bone. They were polished, fitted, and worn. The living carried pieces of the dead in their mouths, or accelerated everything. Battlefields produced thousands of young bodies at once. Healthy teeth, minimal decay. After major conflicts, teeth were harvested on a massive scale. Soldiers died once. Their teeth lived many lives. This practice reached its most infamous point after the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Waterloo left tens of thousands dead. Within days, their teeth were collected. They were known as Waterloo teeth. They flooded the European dental market. Dentures made from them were considered high quality. Young, strong, desirable. Few buyers asked questions, fewer cared. The dead became raw material. Wearing dentures during this period was far from comfortable. They slipped while speaking, clicked while eating, absorbed odors, caused sores and infections. But they restored something critical: a public face. With dentures, a person could speak clearly again, appear younger, participate in society. Pain was tolerated, discomfort was accepted, because the alternative was invisibility. The 19th century marked a turning point. Industrialization changed production. Science began replacing desperation. New materials emerged. Vulcanite rubber made dentures cheaper and more accessible. Later, acrylic replaced bone and ivory entirely. For the first time, dentures could be mass-produced ethically. The dead were no longer needed. Dentistry became a profession. Standards formed. Hygiene improved. Tooth loss was no longer a social death sentence. In the 20th century, dentures became ordinary. They were no longer symbols of desperation. They were tools of restoration. People smiled again without fear. They spoke without shame. The long history of borrowed teeth faded into obscurity. But it never truly disappeared. Because behind every artificial smile is a forgotten past. A past where teeth were currency, where poverty fed vanity, where the dead served the living. For centuries, humanity crossed ethical lines in the pursuit of dignity. Which brings us to the final question history leaves behind. If you lived in that world, if losing your teeth meant losing your place in society, would you have worn the teeth of the dead just to smile again?